But Taiwan is a wrong card to play because for the Chinese, Taiwan is a matter of historical justice.
If you scroll through Western media, CNN, BBC, or Western social media, you'd easily get the impression that Taiwan is already an independent nation and that China is suddenly threatening to invade a sovereign neighbor out of nowhere. Why does the West view it this way? Well, to a lot of Western politicians, Taiwan is viewed through a modern lens. It's a democracy, it manufactures most of the world's microchips, and it feels like a separate country. But for most people here in Asia, and especially in mainland China, the Taiwan issue isn't viewed as a modern political debate. It's viewed as a matter of deeply rooted historical logic. To understand why Beijing views Taiwan as a non-negotiable red line, we need to look at what actually happened in history rather than just what media narratives tell us today. Let's watch a quick clip from former Singapore Foreign Minister George Yeo, who breaks this down with incredible clarity.
And Taiwan is an issue so lightly played that is alarming to me. How European leaders, European countries say, oh no, we love Taiwanese, we love Taiwan. They know nothing about Taiwan, but they love Taiwan. And they love to visit Taiwan, even though they can't remember the names and the places they visit. They do that in order to support the Americans and to satisfy themselves that they are being tough with China. Because China is too big, we've got to show that we are also strong. But Taiwan is a wrong card to play, because for the Chinese, Taiwan is a matter of historical justice. In the 1943 December, in Cairo, Stalin met Roosevelt, Churchill, and Chiang Kai-shek. And in the Cairo Declaration, they make clear that Taiwan will be returned to China. In Potsdam, after the war ended in Europe, July 1945, it was Truman, and then halfway Churchill was replaced by Attlee because he had lost the elections in the UK, and Stalin. And they reaffirmed the Cairo Declaration in the Potsdam Proclamation. In other words, the status of Taiwan was long settled. During the Civil War in China, the American Navy helped the KMT to occupy islands in the South China Sea because the US accepted that those islands were part of China. They were occupied by Japan as a part of China. And so we returned to China. But now, because China is a preoccupation, many issues are being revisited, despite the history. But for the Chinese, Taiwan was lost because their fleet was sunk by Japan in 1994. And there was a humiliating peace agreement called the Treaty of Shimonoseki that year, leading to Japan taking over Taiwan and ruling it for 50 years. For China, it is not an issue which is negotiable. And any Chinese leader who takes a different position, however autocratic, will lose the overwhelming support of the Chinese people. Now, other issues you can talk about. You can talk about trade, you can talk about intellectual property, you can talk about chips. I think the Chinese can look after themselves. But on Taiwan, they will go to war. If they believe that the US intends to keep Taiwan separate, independent if possible, forever. The accusation is made that China is about to invade Taiwan, that Xi Jinping wants to do it for his legacy. So while I do not believe that China wants to invade Taiwan lightly, I believe that China will move if they are convinced that Taiwan has embarked on the road to independence. China can abjure the use of force, any more than Madrid can abjure the use of force if Catalonia were to declare independence unilaterally. Any more than London can abjure the use of force if Scotland were to declare independence unilaterally, or even Northern Ireland. But because You do not abjure the use of force, so we can be polite to one another and negotiate peaceful outcomes. But the mood in the Western media, partly deliberate, partly reflecting the mores of the time, is to paint a picture of China which is very dramatic and very black, and is leading to wrong decisions being taken in Europe. And yet the decisions being taken in Europe will have huge consequences for the world, and of course, for Europe itself.
Now, let's break down what George Yeo just explained, because this is the part that many people often overlook. China's position on Taiwan did not suddenly appear under Xi Jinping. To understand why Beijing sees Taiwan as a non-negotiable issue, we have to go back into history. Because from China's perspective, Taiwan is not just about today's politics. It is connected to a much bigger story about war, territory, and national identity. Let's go back to 1895. After losing a war with Japan, China's Qing dynasty was forced to sign the Treaty of Shimonoseki, which transferred Taiwan to Japan. And for the next 50 years, Taiwan was under Japanese rule. This period is still important because it is connected to what China calls the century of humiliation, a time when China lost territory and was weakened by foreign powers. Then came World War II. During the war, the Allied powers, including US, Britain, and China, agreed that territories taken by Japan, including Taiwan, should be returned to China after Japan's defeat. When Japan surrendered in 1945, Taiwan was handed back to the Republic of China government, led by KMT. But just a few years later, the Chinese Civil War changed everything. In 1949, the Communist Party defeated the KMT on mainland China, and then the KMT retreated to Taiwan, while the People's Republic of China was established in Beijing. And this is where the Taiwan issue became much more complicated. For many years, both Beijing and Taipei shared one important belief: there was only one China. The disagreement was about who actually represented that China. Beijing claimed it was the legitimate government of China, and the KMT in Taiwan also made the same claim. This historical background explains why Beijing does not view Taiwan as simply another foreign country. To China, Taiwan represents an unfinished historical issue involving sovereignty and national unity. And this view was not only held by Beijing. The One China policy eventually became the basis of international diplomacy. In 1971, the UN recognized the People's Republic of China government in Beijing as China's representative at the UN. And after that, the US established diplomatic relations with Beijing and acknowledged the One China framework. So from Beijing's perspective, the international system has already recognized this position. But then comes the next question. If Taiwan issue is mainly about history and sovereignty, why has it become one of the most dangerous geopolitical flashpoints in the world? And this is where history turns into strategy. Because Taiwan is not only important because of the past, it is also incredibly important because of its location. Just take a look at the map. Taiwan sits right in the middle of what military strategists call the first island chain, a line of islands stretching from Japan to Taiwan down towards Southeast Asia. During the Cold War, the United States built a network of alliances across this region to limit China's ability to expand its naval power into the Pacific Ocean. And Taiwan is the key piece in the middle. From Beijing's perspective, this island chain creates a strategic barrier around China's coastline. It limits China's access to wider Pacific and prevents China from becoming a true maritime power. But Taiwan has another importance that goes beyond geography: technology. Taiwan is also important because of technology. The island is home to one of the world's most advanced semiconductor industry. Companies like TSMC produce many of the world's most advanced computer chips, the technology that powers smartphones, artificial intelligence, and even modern military systems. But there's one important point that is often misunderstood. Some people believe China's interest in Taiwan is mainly because of its semiconductor industry and companies like TSMC. This is absolutely not true. China has been claiming Taiwan long before Taiwan became a global chip powerhouse. For Beijing, this has always been mainly about history and sovereignty. However, Taiwan's importance in the global technology industry has made the issue even more strategically significant. This is also why Washington continues to support Taiwan through unofficial diplomatic ties, arms sales, and political cooperation. From the American perspective, Taiwan is not only about democracy, it is also about maintaining the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. But from Beijing's perspective, these actions are viewed very differently. They are seen as part of a broader strategy to contain China's rise and prevent unification. And this is why the Taiwan issue remains so dangerous. Because when you look at the bigger picture, you realize both sides are not just arguing about one island. They are looking at Taiwan through completely different lenses. For Beijing, Taiwan represents history, sovereignty, and unfinished businesses of China's past. For Washington, Taiwan represents a strategic position that affects the balance of power in Asia. So the Taiwan question is not simply about democracy versus authoritarianism. It is about history, nationalism, military strategy, technology, and the competition between two global powers. And as Joshua warned, when politicians use Taiwan as a tool for domestic politics, they may be playing with an issue that could have consequences far beyond the island itself. Because in geopolitics, some issues are not just political debates. Some issues can change the direction of the entire world. So, what do you think about the Taiwan issue? Is the world misunderstanding China's position, or is Beijing creating unnecessary tension? Could Taiwan become the trigger for a larger conflict between China and the US? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Asian geopolitics. Thank you for watching.